everybody, Jennifer from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am back with the other inserts for our PhotoCube box. So we did, or I posted the little tag album. If I can hold it right side up, that would be incredibly helpful, wouldn't it? Posted the little tag album the other day that sits down in here. And so now I've got two other little projects. These are both the same. So I've got kind of a matchbook style little flip book here. This is 5.5 by 5. So this just opens up like so. It's got the acetate on the front, so you're going to use some of those leftover acetate pieces you would have had if you built the box. And I didn't mat, of course, the interior pages because you would want those for pictures. And did that, I can't talk tonight, did mat the back page here. So those both just tie up like so. And will fit very nicely in our little box here. And then I did a very simple folio. This is all cardstock. There is no chipboard involved in this one. And this is 5.5 by 5 by 5. I think it's 5 by 5. I don't remember. I had issues yesterday when I did this. So it does have a little acetate belly band that I used one of the ephemera pieces on, and then used glossy accents actually to glue this little border strip around. So this just opens up like so. On this side we've got a flap here and here. We've got a little acetate topped pocket here. So I've got a little swing tab, and then you've got a little pocket here. In the center here, we've got just some little flips that come out every little which way here. And again, I've just got seam binding holding that one closed. And I'm bow challenged, as you know. And then this side is the same as the other, that it just flips out like so. And this whole little thing folds in on itself like that. And then our little belly band just slides over there. And there you have it. And that also goes into our little box. And if you did the entire project, you would still have space in here for pictures or anything else that you might want to store in here with it. I'm going to go ahead and put our little lid on, and there you go. There is the final little insert pieces for your PhotoCube box. As always, thank you for watching. The tutorial for both of those inserts will play next. Please like and subscribe and ring the bell if you want to get notified when I post new projects, and I'll be back soon with something new. Okay, so we're going to start with one piece of cardstock 5 by 12. We're going to score this one at 1/2 inch, 5.5, 6.5, and 11.5. Then we need two pieces that are both 5 by 10 1/4. You're going to score these at 1/2 inch and at 5 3/8 on both. So 1/2 inch, 5 3/8. I'm not going to miter because the way these are going to go together, you could see a gap. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to go ahead and fold and burnish the tabs on the end. And I'm going to use my scoreboard to help line these up, just to make sure that it's nice and straight. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in here. And I'm actually going to lay this back flat. Push it right up, make sure it's flush up against the side here. Push that up against the score line, and fold it over and burnish it down. And apparently I've lost my little rag I've been using in here. Okay, I'm gonna flip it around, do the same thing on the other side. So again, against the side here, over to the score line and fold that over and down. Okay. And then we can go ahead and fold and burnish there and over here. And those are going to come in like so. And then we can fold here and burnish. And fold and burnish. So what's going to happen is you're going to have this little cardstock folio that's going to come together just like that. Okay? Let me go ahead and get my other little pieces for the inside and I will be right back. Okay, so for the inside of our little folio here. So I did go ahead and mat a couple of pieces that need to be matted ahead of time. So first step, we're going to do a couple of flaps on this outside edge here. These are, and I thought I wrote it on there, apparently I didn't. These are 5 3/8 by 4 3/4, both of these are. And I did go ahead and score these just because I was playing around with some scraps and trying to figure out how I was going to do this exactly. So with the 5 3/8 at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch on both of those. We're going to go ahead and miter. And then we can go ahead and glue those in. Because the way these go in, they don't need to be matted beforehand. And I am going to turn this upside down to do this. And because they are slightly smaller than the page, you're just going to want to kind of eyeball it and center it. You're going to have about 1/16 of an inch on each side. Let's do the same with the other side. Okay. For this center section, we're going to do kind of a different fold out on this. So you need 2 pieces that are 4 5/8 by 3 1/8. With the 4 5/8 at the top of the scoreboard, you're going to score it 1/2 inch. We're going to go ahead and miter those. And then our other piece is going to be, let's not push that off the front of the table there, that would be bad. 9 3/4 by 4 1/8. This one, with the 9 3/4 at the top, you're going to score it at 3 1/4 and 6 1/2. These flaps we are going to go ahead and fold and burnish. And they're going to go to the back side of this wider piece. So I am literally just going to stand this up, center them up, because again, they're just going to be a slightly narrower than this center section. Not enough to be like super noticeable, but you still want to try to get it as straight as you can. And do the same thing on this other side. Just line this one up on top of the other one. Okay, and then these are going to fold in like so. And we do want some seam binding on this. So I'm going to grab that. I am going to grab my 1/4 inch score tape. I'm going to put that across the middle back here. And I'm going to leave that as long as it is and just trim it off because it'll be fine. So I'm going to put that on there. I'm going to go ahead and tie it shut just because it's going to be easier to glue down if it's tied shut, ready to go. And then I'm going to just trim a little bit off of the sides. Okay. And then go ahead and glue this down in the center of that back panel. Like so. Okay. And then our pocket. So our pocket, we're going to do a little acetate flap. So the pocket itself is going to be 5 15/16. That way it goes across, but it's not going to run into anything that needs to close over the top of it. Okay. So you're going to start with the 5 15/16 at the top, score it 1/2 inch, turn, 1/2 inch, turn, and 1/2 inch again. We're going to go ahead and miter this, so we're going to go directly through the middle of the 2 score lines where they intersect on the bottom. And then we are going to miter at the top. Okay. And then we can go ahead and fold and burnish. And then for our little acetate flap, we're going to attach that with a piece of cardstock that is 1 inch by 4 3/4. So with the 1 inch at the top, you're going to score this at 1/2 inch. And I should have put that on before I did my matting back there. Darn it, but that's okay. We're going to make it work. I may just have to... It's good and secure, isn't it? Of course it is. Actually, no, it'll be fine because I'm going to actually put this to the back. So what I'm going to do is find my 3/8 score tape. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to do this on top. Oh, whoops. Let's actually tear it where we want to tear it, not where my whatever I just did there. I'm not even sure. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get the backing off of here. I am going to fold that. And I've left the tissue paper on here just so you can see what I'm doing. This is also 4 3/4 by 4 inch because if you made the box, you should have a whole bunch of strips that are 12 by 4. So I'm trying to use some of those scraps just to, you know, use them up so that we don't have a whole bunch of like weird pieces of acetate, which you can use them on cards. You'll find things to use them for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my acetate, and that has shifted, so I'm going to have to take it off. I apologize. Acetate's in here. I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to get it right up against the front here and down. Okay? And I still managed to get it off to the side, which thankfully is acetate, and we can pull it right back off. I just did not get it. I think this was not over all the way. Okay, so I know we see the acrylic, the adhesive through here. However, we will put a piece of cardstock along there, like so, just to cover that up. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this back in. I'm going to turn it over because we're going to actually put our adhesive on here. And we're going to center this in here. And you will have about 1/8 of an inch on each side. And we're just going to fold that back and over because you're going to mat over the back of this here, so it's not going to matter. Okay, so before we put the pocket down, however, to keep, which this little flap actually will probably stay closed just fine on its own, but we are going to do like a little swing tab. And we're actually, let me make sure this is actually going to close up the way I want it to beforehand, just in case we have to trim this. Nope, this does need to be a little bit smaller because it's not quite, well, you know what? No, it is. It's okay. It's okay. I think it shifted when I was in there. So what we're going to do, so this will go here, like so, okay? We're going to do a little swing tab that's going to kind of come in like so, okay? So we want to punch our holes for that on this pocket before we actually adhere it down. And so I do have my Crop-A-Dile, and I'm going to kind of come in, which this ended up being a little bit, this piece ended up being a little bit wider than I thought it was going to be, because I wanted them to kind of sit about like here, but by the time we do the brad and whatnot, that's not going to quite work. So we're going to do it kind of at an angle so it will come down like so. So I'm going to go ahead and punch the hole. So this is one of the stickers. I've just backed it on acetate, on black artisan. And I'm going to go ahead and punch my little hole at the end. And I'm going to line this one up. And I'm going to do it again, just so that they're in about the same place. Okay. So what we can do now is kind of hold this in place about where it's going to go. Figure out where our acetate's going to stop. And I'm not liking these on here anymore. You know what? I'm going to use a different one. That will be just fine. Hold on. Where's my stickers? I think I'm going to go back to the one I initially was going to use, which was that one right there. Okay, so I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab a scrap of artisan, and I'm going to actually cut off the very top piece of this because I don't want that other little piece up there at the top. Okay. So we are going to pop out that little hole there because then at least it's ready made with a hole for us. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down on a piece of cardstock. I'm going to leave a little bit of a border, which the other one would have had a border, except I wasn't paying attention when I started to trim around it and cut too close. But that's okay. We're doing it differently now, so it's not going to matter. I'm going to cut that out, and then I'll come in and go around where that little tab is. All right. So this one, once I poke out the little piece that's hanging out in there, go ahead and get my hole lined up here. And I am just having a terrible time with this tonight. Actually, with everything I've touched today, it's just been a disaster, but that's okay. So we're going to find about where we want this to line up. And I'm going to just make a mark. And I'm going to punch a hole. Sorry, I have to get where I can get the light angled just right and see what I'm doing here. So sorry I'm out of frame for this, but I can't quite see where I need this to go otherwise. There we go. Okay. So we have our little hole, and I just punched that with the wrong side, didn't I? Oh my God. Okay. You know what? It'll be fine. So this is going to sit on top of here. So you do want to go ahead and mat that beforehand so you can punch the corresponding hole in the with the matting, which you could have matted it and then marked it and, you know, done it in one shot, which would make a heck of a lot more sense. But excuse me, as I said, this is just how my entire day has gone, so you guys get to just be along for the crazy ride such as it is. Okay, I think I'm going to use that. So I'm going to measure, and this is 4 5/8, so I'll go 4 3/4 by 2 3/8. So I'm going to do my 2 3/8 first, kind of see where that puts me, and then I can decide on my 4 3/4, which is going to put me about right there, which I can live with that. That'll work. Okay, so let's grab that little pocket again. I'm going to go ahead and put my matting on. Okay. And this time I will come in with the correct size of my side of my punch here. There we go. Much better. So I've got some little colored brads here that I've had for, I don't even know, many years, like from when I very first started doing any kind of paper crafting. And that green is actually not terrible, but I think the yellow is going to be better. So I don't know where they came from. I've probably had them 15 years. So we're going to go ahead, put that through there, put that through there, maybe. And get that spread out. I used to have a little tool for that. I don't honestly know what happened to it. It's been gone forever. Okay, so we've got that. This moves. I am actually going to find, oh my gosh, I literally just had it. I had a roll of Scotch tape in here just to kind of put over this to put it down so that it's not going to catch on anything. But I don't know what's happened to it. So I think what I'm going to do instead, so I'm going to take just a very thin strip of Artisan, and I think I'm just going to put that down in here over the back of that brad, because at least that way it's not going to cause anything that you may put in that little pocket to catch on that mechanism. So, okay, so we got that there. We can go ahead and glue this down. So I'm going to start with just my bottom, and I'm going to get this right in between my score lines and burnish that down. And then come in and do my sides. Why is that corner not sticking down? I can't even tell you how much paper I've wasted today, and not just cardstock, like Artisan. So, you know, the good stuff. Because I don't usually have this much of an issue doing stuff, but somehow today it's just It's been a day. Okay, so there's that. This will close like so, and then your little swing tab will come up over the top of it. So there is the inside of our little folio. Okay, what I have done for a closure, you could do ribbon if you wanted to. I am actually going to do an acetate belly band because, again, I've got all those little strips of acetate left over from making my box. So this I cut down to 2 inches wide, 12 inches long. I scored this at, put it the other direction. I scored this at 2 inches, 3 1/8, 8 1/4, and then 9 3/8. And as you'll see, that way it's going to give it a little bit of leeway, so once everything's matted, and you can see it doesn't totally match up in the front, which is fine, because what we're going to do is find another little scrap over here somewhere. We are going to cut a piece about 2 by 1 7/8, so not quite as high as our acetate, but wide enough to join them together. And I am going to go ahead, and I didn't burnish these, I actually just kind of folded it to make sure it was going to fit, but I didn't actually burnish them down. So I'm going to go ahead and burnish those down all the way. Like I said, I've still got the tissue paper in there just so you can see what I'm doing. But I am going to have to kind of peel that back. I'll take it out, actually. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure this is going to be enough, which it is. And I'm going to put score tape on one end. Let's see which is my... Okay, so I want it on... Okay, I don't know what I did there, but that was like distinctly weird. Okay. On that side and on this side. And I'm going to put it like so. And it may be easier to do this with this sitting around the folio. Even though it's not matted yet, it's not going to matter. I'm going to set it around the folio and just kind of figure out about where it really needs to connect up. So, here's my pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off on this side. Apologize. Back up here. I actually want it on the bottom. Because what we'll do is we'll take either a cut apart or, you know, something like, actually that would be really pretty, and we'll put that on the front. So that's going to cover up, you know, the ugliness of our piece that's connecting our belly band. Okay, so like so, and so that'll go on there, and what I'll probably end up doing is cutting another piece of either black or some of the pattern or something that I'll kind of put on here, and then also on the inside as well, just so that it's not so obvious this is not centered, because, and I mean, it doesn't really matter that it's not centered, but that's how that will end up sitting. I think that's the one I'm going to use too, because I really like that one. Okay, and so that's it. There is your little folio that will also sit in your box. I will be back in just a minute with a couple other little things that we can make and put inside, and then that'll be it. See you in a second. Okay, so for the matchbook folio, we are going to start with a piece of cardstock 5.5 by 7 3/8. We're going to score that at 3/4, 1 inch, 6 inch, and 6 3/8. Okay, then you're going to have 5 pages that are 5 by 5.5. And I did make 2 of these, so if you want to make 2, then just do all of this twice. With the 5" at the top, you're going to score each one of those pages at 1/2 inch. So once you get those all scored, go ahead on the pages and fold and burnish, because we're going to glue these together so that they're stacked. So if you made my photo wallet from National Scrapbook Day a couple of years ago, we're going to do the pages for this just like we did that. So I'm going to go ahead and fold all of these on their score lines. And then I'm going to stack them together. And you're going to want some clips for this. So of course I just have the pink dollar store clips I'm going to grab here in just a second. But you want to stack these together so that they are aligned on the bottom and on the side. And then you want those tabs separated out. And what I like to do is get them aligned on the bottom and on the side, and then take the Dollar Tree clips and clip it on each side so that I know they're going to stay lined up the way they're supposed to. Okay, and then you're just going to come in here on the top of the first 4 tabs and add glue. And then pinch those all together. And then what I do at that point is go ahead and clip like as many as I can get on there, just to hold it all closed and give that time for that to dry. Which art glitter, of course, it doesn't take very long, but just to be safe, I do let it go for a few minutes there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fold all of and burnish all of our score lines on our base piece while that dries. And then we're going to attach our little acetate that's going to be the front part of the flap on our little matchbook here. So the acetate is going to be from one of your little 4" scraps you would have had left from making the box if you made the box. Otherwise, you need a piece of acetate that is 4" by 5.5. And I've left the tissue paper on here just so you can kind of see it as I'm working with it here. And all you're going to do is run a 1/4 inch piece of score tape on the edge of the 1" tab, and then put your acetate down on that, because you'll mat over it, so it's not going to matter that you can see the score tape at this point. Okay, let's go ahead and get the tissue paper off of there. So there's our base, and then our pages should be dry. So we're going to go ahead and glue those at the bottom, so where the 3/4 inch, the 1/4 inch gusset and the 3/4 inch flap is, we're going to glue that down there on the bottom. All right, there you go. The only thing left is to add some seam binding to tie this closed, and then just go ahead and mat. So I think I'm going to grab some black seam binding here, and I'm just going to put a strip of score tape on the back across the middle, and I used 3/8 inch score tape on this, which again, it's going to get matted over, so it's not, the width of the score tape really is not like a big deal, but just so you kind of know what you're looking for. And then just go ahead and get the backing off and lay your score tape on. I'm sorry, not your score tape, your seam binding on. and tie it around the front, trim off whatever extra, because I did get a little bit carried away with the seam binding here, but that's because I was pulling it directly off the roll. It's one of the few colors I have actual rolls of is the black. Okay, so just go ahead and trim those off, and that is it. As always, if you end up making these projects, please share them on Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations. You can also share them on and tag me on Instagram at Scrapping Under the Influence. And I have a group that needs renamed desperately called I Scrapped Under the Influence, a craft group for all crafters, on Facebook, and you can share those and any other projects you make, whether they are my tutorials or somebody else's or your own creation, at any time that you want to there. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!